Hannah, I am so excited to be talking to you right now. I have been sharing some of your story over time on social media. I know you're not on Facebook because you're too young and hip for Facebook, but the people want to know more about you and your story. And so I just kind of want to ask you some questions as our time in this capacity is coming to a close, as you are graduating from our program. Just kind of highlight some of the things to start off with. Before we go any further, you are officially down 51 pounds.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fantastic.
That's pretty freaking awesome. For anybody that's watching this, it is December 29th, and one of our goals was to hit 50 pounds down by the end of the year. So that's incredible. You were at 50 pounds last week, and I was a little nervous because it was Christmas, and you attacked Christmas like a champ, and you're still down.
Yep, still down.
All right. So just to give some quick background and some history, you and your mom joined together with my program when I first launched way back. You guys joined as a tag team. And then basically your mom was like, hey, if you want to continue, this is on you. And
yeah, pretty much.
We talked about the options going forward. Now, part of the reason was the first 6 months or the first 6 weeks we worked together, you didn't really buy into what we were doing. I don't think so much.
I did, but I wasn't in like that mentality yet, of like, let's do this, we can get this going type of deal.
And I remember I had just moved. I remember having a conversation with you. We stripped back the layers. We simplified things. And then you started seeing some changes pretty quickly from there. And then your mom was like, all right, if you want to keep going, like, this is on you. Now, you are a 21-year-old college student.
Yep.
So tell me what it felt like making that kind of investment in yourself.
It felt good to really like finally focus on like my health in that capacity, because that was always one of the things that kind of fell back, It was always just one of those things that was never considered like a priority in my mind. But at some point I was just kind of like, this is something that's like going to improve all aspects of my life. Essentially, if I can take care of myself, I can improve everything that I do, essentially. So that's the mentality that I started to shift into when I really started to be like, okay, this is something worth my time, worth my money, worth putting the effort into, essentially.
What did it feel like to actually like make that first payment on your own?
It was a little scary. It was like, I think my exact thought was, I really hope this works. I really hope that this is going to be worth it, because I'm a broke college student that, money's money.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's incredible that you see where you're at now and how making this change for you is going to impact other areas of your life, and you seeing that now, because most of the women I work with are 40 and older, and it's taken us so long to really see and understand that, and to be willing to invest not just the money, but the time to do it. And one of the things that's been so remarkable about you is you've lost so much of this weight while you were away at college.
Yeah. And that's always tricky, isn't it? Because luckily we live like near a grocery store, so it's not too bad to like just go and pick up groceries or pick up something healthier from there, or the deli or whatever. But eating out is definitely part of like, the college life.
Absolutely.
So it was, you had to do some lifestyle shifts for sure. But
so tell me what some of the changes you made throughout the course of the program that got you results. Why did this work for you?
I feel like for me, part of it was definitely what I ate, but another part of it for me was also just becoming mindful of how much I ate, like at each sitting, because I could be the type of person where I would just sit down and eat and not think at all about like how much I was eating or what I was eating. So once I became more mindful of how much I was actually eating at each sitting and giving myself time to actually like process my food and stuff like that, I realized that I was full like way quicker than I thought that I would be. And then just trying to because for me, I don't like to just wake up and do exercise, you know?
I
So
know,
I feel like I have to kind of build the energy up to exercise in a way. So
right.
making those shifts of like going for a walk, going out to just do a lap around the apartment complex, stuff like that.
Yeah, as a college student, you don't like to get up early and work out. I think that's
No, I
that's
don't like to get up
understandable.
early at all.
So tell me and anybody that's watching a little bit about how the workouts were for you. What did you like about that?
I liked how the workouts weren't like supremely long, at least a lot, like most of them were not very long. Like I feel like you always hear like an hour a day, and that sounds like so daunting to do like a workout. Like you should be working out an hour a day. And the thought of just like when you're already not physically active, like I was, and you're like thinking of setting aside like a whole hour to just do nothing but work out, like just the thought or something like that, like in your mind, it builds this mental block. But when we did our program, it built up upon itself. It started off relatively easy. I mean, at first, you know, when you're first getting into the routine of working out, it's hard to first get into it. But once your body starts to get used to that and you start building upon it, it felt like there was a natural progression to it. And suddenly it just didn't feel that hard anymore after you get over like that initial hump
Right.
of, and you weren't wasting like, or not wasting, but you weren't spending hours out of your day just doing nothing but exercising. You know, there's a balance to it all.
Right. And I think one of the reasons that many of the women I get to work with are so successful is because we make the small changes
Yes.
and so they become manageable. But a challenge with that is yes, we're making small changes that you can get consistent with, but your weight, you lost 51 pounds, but it was like 7, 8 months. It wasn't
Yeah.
overnight. And so how did you keep going?
I at some point, like this was kind of before I even started the program too, and this is just kind of generally my mentality for like making myself like for self-improvement. I have the mentality of I'm still going to be here in like a year or 2 years or whatever. Would I rather be the exact same, or would I rather be better in any capacity that I can be better, be it in weight or at my work that I do, like any of that. So it's like even if the progress is slow, it's like over time that adds up, you know? And it's
Absolutely.
like I'm still going to like, it's like I could still be the same weight that I was when I started the program, but I'm not. It's like I'm
And
here
I
now.
think
So it's maybe not quick, but it's progress.
well, and I think it's huge. We celebrate like every pound you wait, you get this smile on my face.
Uh-huh.
One of my favorite
Every
things because you like to input all of your information super late at night or early in the
This
morning,
is true because I'm a big night owl. Yeah.
depending on how you look at it. And so every every Wednesday when we would have our check-in calls, I was waiting
Mm-hmm.
and waiting for the numbers, and it was super exciting. And I loved your mindset throughout the whole thing, and it's something that I try to instill with the women I work with is, look, it's going to come off slow, but it's going to stay off. Sure, you
Yeah.
lost 50 pounds in 4 months and been healthy doing it, but would you have maintained it if you were really extreme to get there? I do want to show a screen share of this because this just blows my mind.
Oh yeah.
And I just want this up on the screen because
I learned how to take photos
well, you
properly as
did learn how
well.
to take photos. That's something that we're working on. But
Mm-hmm.
I know you didn't find the same shirt because you're a college student and you don't know where your clothes are.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
But wow, I mean, my favorite and my favorite is always the back. You
Mm-hmm.
can never fake that back shot. Like you can't suck that in. And just to see the
Oh yeah,
change,
I know.
just to see the changes now, you didn't smile in either picture, but I mean,
Yeah.
just the loss of weight in your face, in your arms. I mean, what does it feel like to be 50 pounds less than you were when you started?
It definitely feels nice. Like I feel like I have more energy. I'm able to do stuff for longer now. Stuff doesn't feel like as much of a like physical strain as much as it used to be. I can keep up better now with people doing stuff.
Right.
Even at like Christmas time, my grandmother was like, you've been like up and just walking around. You're normally like just kind of sitting. And I was like, oh, like I didn't really notice until she said it to me. I was like, I guess I have just kind of been up and walking around and just moving more in general.
I've loved watching you over time come out of your shell. You know, we started
Yeah.
this and we're in Florida. So in Florida, we get out a little bit more with COVID than the rest of the world. But
Yeah.
when we started back in like March, you know, you had not been at school because schools had been closed and you were
Yes.
really kind of like a shell. It was really hard pulling any conversation out of you.
Yeah.
And, you know, and now when I see you, you're smiling. Your energy is so much different. And I'm like, I'm speechless. I'm speechless and excited. And you have been so much fun to work with.
Oh, thank you. And you know, that I think that was part of it for me is like the pandemic hit me like mentally like hard. Like I was not doing good. There was a little while where I was like in my apartment, but not going to classes or anything. And a lot of days I was just locked inside of like my room, like hardly doing anything. And that, you know, that didn't help with the weight.
Right.
And at some point, I ended up actually like going to therapy, and that like helped with my mentality. And I was like, you know what? We're going to do the health thing too at some point too. And I was like, let's invest in that as well. But obviously when we first met, I was still like not 100% there, but it's working has helped a lot. Like, you know, it's like the age old thing where they say like exercise helps depression and all of that. And it is definitely true. For sure. It's just your mood improves with all of that.
Yeah, and I've loved watching it, and I love and I hope you go back and thank your mom for not paying for you to continue doing the program with me,
Yeah.
because I think that's really important when people are making an investment, and it is a big investment to work with me. But when you invest your money, there's something different that happens in your head, and there's that kind of switch in
Yeah.
mentality. And I think you investing your money and not, you know, doing this off of your mom's dime was a huge shift. And I think that had you more vested in what you were doing. And like, I mean, the results, they're just there. They're incredible.
Yeah. It's like the classic, like I'll waste my mom's money, but I can't waste my own money. That's too far.
Yeah. And I
Now I
think,
make this worth it.
yeah, I mean, seeing that before and after, seeing that smile on your face, I mean, that's priceless. I'm speechless again. Is there
Thank
anything else that you want to say, share before you know, stop the video? You don't have to feel awkward.
Yeah, well, I would just say like if you're questioning it, and you don't know if it's worth that investment, it absolutely is worth that investment, like for yourself, if for nobody else.
Absolutely.
Because it's not worth it to just stay the same essentially, especially if you're struggling in some way like I was, you know. It's so much better to just take that leap and go for it.
Absolutely. And you freaking went for it. You hit it out of the park. All right. I will shut this down. Let's see. I will end the recording.